This video is based on your e-text. You're welcome to restart or replay this video as you need, but you're also welcome to make use of the e-text that goes along with this. Go to Google Classroom, go to Classwork tab, go to the e-text section of Google Classroom, launch e-text structure and function of cells. Advance to page 6, which starts with the header Microscopes. Microscopes. Cell theory could not have been developed without the advancement of microscopes. The microscopes we use today have the same functions as those used almost 200 years ago, to view tiny specimens. The advanced technology in the modern microscope, however, provides far greater detail for much closer observations. Light microscopes focus light through the lens to produce a magnified image. Electron microscopes are much more complex. They create an image using beams of electrons that scan the surface of the specimen. Look at the different images of the same cells in Figure 5. Both of the microscopes do the same job in different ways, but rely on two important properties: magnification and resolution. From this paragraph, we want to answer the following questions. Microscopes view blank things. Light microscopes use what to view magnified images? And the third question you should answer from this paragraph is, electron microscopes use what to create a magnified image? The answers to these questions are: microscopes view tiny things. Light microscopes use light to magnify an image. And electron microscopes, they use beams of electrons. In Figure 5, we got a picture of red blood cells. On the left, we see what it looks like in a light microscope. This is probably right around 40-fold magnification. So we can see there's little packets of circular objects or donut-like objects. On the right, we see much greater detail. We see what is the image of a red blood cell under an electron microscope. So this is probably under about 5,000-fold magnification. So you can see a lot more detail, and with an electron microscope you can actually start to see some of the components that are inside of a cell in some cases as well. So it lets us see different things, lets us understand how different things interact, and they both have their own special purposes. So let's think about how scientists today could use current technologies to further support cell theory. Let's select all from this list. Let's select all that apply. So let's look at what the list is. We could learn about better organelle detail. We'll learn about organelles in a couple weeks. We could do real-time observation with living cells. We could observe processes inside of a cell. We could see how disease interacts with the cells itself. We could enhance understanding of cell reproduction. We could take 3D images. So if we can understand, how things are shaped and how they're built up, it helps us understand how they function. So we can do these 3D imaging. We can look at cell process dynamics, or how chemistry processes in and out of these. And we can look at gene expression profiling. Of this list, what do you think that microscopes might play a role in? Select all that apply. In this case, microscopes are playing a role in current research in all of these fields. So we could have selected all of these options. Plastic or wood? Two students in a science classroom are debating about whether tables are made of plastic or wood. As a teacher passes by, he suggests, use cell theory to find the truth. So, let's propose a scientific investigation to determine whether tables are wooden or plastic. Include your hypothesis and steps students should take in any materials they might need to carry out a procedure. So, how would you use cell theory to investigate an object to determine if it's made of non-living or man-made type plastic or living wood? Well, I think the first thing that we need to do is we need to recall what cell theory says. It says that living things are made of cells. It says that cells are the basic units of living things. It says that new cells are produced from existing cells. So that's the framework we're starting from. The next is, let's design a hypothesis that can be testable that would help us identify whether something is a cell or not. So our first hypothesis that we could test is it made of cells? The second hypothesis that we could think about testing is, there isn't a more basic unit of life. And then the third is, does it spontaneously generate? So those are the kind of questions we could ask to address cell theory. But if we're using cell theory for this specific question, we'd probably want to focus on whether it's made of living cells. Does it have cells or not? So to do this, what we would do is we'd probably most obviously look at it through a microscope and look for the characteristics of cell details. Magnification. The compound-like microscope you see in Figure 6, and I've included an example of Figure 6 right here on the side, magnifies an image using two lenses at once. One lens is a fixed eyepiece, that's at the very top. The second lens is called an objective, that's at the very bottom of the column. It's located in the revolving nose piece. So the nose piece lets you select different objective lenses as you're working with a microscope. A compound microscope usually has more than one objective lens. Each objective lens has a different magnifying power. By turning the nose piece, you select the lens with the magnifying power you need. A glass rectangle is called a slide. Let me repeat myself. A glass rectangle called a slide holds a thin sample to be viewed. So that sits right on top of the tray here. Let me try and zoom in on that. This is glass rectangle right here. It sits right there. The light passes through the lens, through the slide, through the nose piece, into the eyepiece, and into your eye. Each lens magnifies a sample, and finally the light reaches your eye, and you get to see the sample in great detail. That's the basic operation of a microscope. Let's take a second from this paragraph and see if we can identify each of the major pieces of a microscope. So we'll start with an eyepiece. Can you identify where the eyepiece is at? Go ahead and drag that on the image. Can you identify where the objective lenses are at? Go ahead and identify that on the image. Where are the nose piece at? And then where is that slide at? Should have slid it in this order. So you see the eyepiece at the very top. That's what we're looking through. We see the nose piece with several different objective lenses on it at the bottom of the tube. The objective lens is at the very bottom of the tube in line with the eyepiece. That's where the light is passing through so we can get our magnification. And then finally, the slide is where the specimen is located at, and so the light is passing through so we can finally see it through the eyepiece.